Scott.
I get to see everybody in person finally instead of the on the TV.
Zoom.
First of all, welcome to Spartanburg. It's great to be down here. After all the OTAs and all the meetings in person and players and the draft, finally get to football. So I'm excited about that.
Scott, Steve Reed with Associated Press. Nice to meet you in person.
Nice to meet you.
You talk about getting Taylor done and how important you felt that was to get that done before the deadline.
He's a cornerstone player on our team, and anytime you get a guy like that done, it's great for the team. He does everything the right way. He's smart. He works hard. He's intelligent. He's tough. Here he is. He's on the franchise tag, and he goes out to OTAs every single day. So that's the type of guy you want to pay and get done, and felt really good about it. It was great working with Taylor. He wanted to be here. His agent wanted him to be here. I got to say, Samir Suleiman really did a good job during that. He got married, during that time. They were getting the deal done, and he drove across country with his dog, because it's part of the ceremony. So he was in Arizona. He drove 36 hours straight back to get the deal done. So all the way back, we got the deal done with about 8 minutes to go before the deadline. So Samir gets a lot of credit for that. But really, when it comes down to it, Coach Rule really wanted him here. Mr. Tepper wanted him here, and he's one of our cornerstone players.
Scott, he told us today that he's keeping an open mind. If he's needed on the left side, he'll do it. Is the plan, though, what is the plan? Do you think he's best on the right side? Or?
Yeah, I'll let Coach talk more about that. I think they'll probably play him a little bit on the left side, but I think the plan is to stay on the right side right now. That's where he's been. We'll get into camp. We'll see what it looks like in pads and how it all comes together. I think the offensive line is very fluid right now, but I'll let Coach kind of get into the details of that.
You mentioned cutting it close. How worried were you that you wouldn't get a deal done with him?
It came right down to it. It was, about 2:30 that I drove into the office. I'd been on the phone all morning with his agent, really since last spring, but then it got really probably intense that last day, and they called back, so we knew it was close. So I drove into the office. Samir was there. They were working through language, and then, like I said, we got it done. I think it was 3:52, and the 4 o'clock was the deadline. So it came right down to it.
You guys are one of the top teams with vaccination rate over 85%, top 4 teams. How comfortable are you with how Matt and you guys have been able to reach that threshold? And did you say something to the players like, hey guys, if we want to be serious about this, I want you to get vaccinated?
Well, I think the players have done a great job doing that. Dr. Gritter, Eddie Lemons, Coach Rule, our entire staff did a great job educating our players what the vaccine is, how it can help you. I know personally I believe in it. My entire family has been vaccinated, so I think it just helps protect us. We don't tell them what to do. We can't say, hey, listen, you do this, you do that. All we can do is educate them. It's their own personal decision, but I'm really excited where we're at as a team.
Scott, y'all are in a pretty good cap situation. Has there been any thought as to possibly adding any free agents at any certain positions? I know there's some uncertainty on the left side of the offensive line, and maybe you might add that position.
I think we're always looking to add players at every position. Keeping some cap space is important to us. There's a lot of planning too. Not just this year. We're looking at next year, the year after, building our model. Who do we want to pay next? So I know we have 2 or 3 players that are, we're talking to, and that's gonna kind of lead us to where we're at. We do want to save some money. We have to save a reserve in case guys get injured during the season and so forth. But it's nice to have a little bit of cap space right now.
Staying along those lines, how do you feel about the composition of the roster as it is right now?
I like where it's at right now. I think we added a lot of good pieces, a lot of depth this offseason. I think defensively we added a lot of strength, a lot of size and speed to that side of the ball. Skill position-wise on offense, we're in good shape. Offensive line's going to come together. Obviously, we have Paredes and Taylor and some other guys that have been there, but that's probably the most fluid thing. We'll see where it's at once we get into camp and pads. But overall, I like where we're at, but we're never set. We're never satisfied with where our roster is at. We're going to always look to improve.
Scott, you added looked at some safeties in minicamp. What were you kind of looking for when you guys did that, and how do you feel about the safety room right now?
Yeah, we're going to always look. We always bring guys in, and we had 5 guys that we could try out. So a couple safeties we brought in. We're going to look to add some speed on the back end. That's kind of one of the priorities that we want to look at. But it wasn't like just those guys. I think it was, we brought in a couple of vets. We took a look at them. We didn't sign them at that point. but they are guys that we would go to in case there's an emergency or someone goes down to camp.
Scott, do you anticipate bringing in any competition at kicker, or how do you kind of view that situation with Joey?
I think Joey did a nice job throughout the spring. He's our kicker. As of right now, I mean, like I said, every position we're always evaluating. If there's a need, we may bring someone in. If there's a kicker out there that we've liked in the past, we may just bring him in and take a look at him. It doesn't mean anything necessarily to Joey. But yeah, it's always something we're going to be evaluating.
Do you feel like it's important to have competition at every position, just because that's the only one where there's no one else on the roster really competing at kicker?
We did have 2 in the spring,
Right.
and then we made a move. Yes, absolutely. We always want competition, and I think you're going to see through camp this year, there's going to be a lot of turnover on the roster, and we're just taking a look at different guys and pushing other guys. And I think competition obviously brings out the best in everybody, and you want to see what guys are like in competitive situations.
Scott, what's an example you're saying of Sam's leadership, and how did the whole vaccination figure into the leadership?
I thought Sam did a really nice job throughout the spring with his leadership. He's a guy, when you're walking into the office at 7 in the morning, he's in there lifting weights. He's in there watching tape. Even on players' days off, I see him, he's walking out of the shower. So I think just through his actions, he's shown a lot of leadership. And then, I know a lot's been made out of Sam and the vaccination. He's, I'll let him talk about those things, but all those things work out.
Scott,
He's been a
He doesn't want to talk about what he said earlier, obviously, he had not been vaccinated. Since then, he hasn't said it. Is that because so much was made about it, or y'all expecting not to talk about it, or what?
Yeah, I have not said anything to him. I guess that's something he's done. That's a decision he's made not to talk about it.
Can
Scott,
you say what your rate is right now? Because it was 85 reported a while weeks ago.
I know we're pleased with where our rate's at. I think we want to just kind of keep those numbers in-house, but we're in a pretty good position.
Scott, would Sam benefit from a veteran guy to bring in as a backup?
I think we need to get into camp to see. I think Will's done a nice job. PJ is obviously very athletic. He's done a good job. You can only see so much through OTAs. I think one of the reasons why we're doing a couple joint practices, we're going to get live looks on guys, and we'll make a decision at that time if we need to add anyone at not just the quarterback position, but any position.
Was the quarterback position and left tackle, were those critical in those decisions to do the joint practices?
I would say, yeah. I'd say that's definitely not just left tackle. I'd say offensive line in general. Quarterback, you want to get as many reps, it's for Sam and Will and PJ as you can, just to see where we're at, give them different looks. I think the more they see, the more they'll be comfortable with where they're at. We want to see them blitzed a lot, how they react with that, managing line calls, and a lot of things that you can't do in a controlled practice that you can do in scrimmages, and that's why that was important.
I know the real ROI on him won't come until the actual season, but have you seen glimpses, or what glimpses have you seen of kind of knowing that your investment was worthwhile with him?
In Sam? I think you saw the progress throughout the spring. He's one of those guys that he still has all the athleticism that we saw when he was coming out. He's got all the arm talent. There's some times he looked really, really good. Like, wow, he's making a lot of progress. And then you throw something new at him, kind of catches him off guard. But then he changes the next day. He doesn't make that same mistake, which is really good to see. And so he showed a lot of growth this offseason. And I think he's really comfortable here. And I think he likes it here and he feels wanted. And the players have, been drawn to him.
What are you hoping to get out of your first trip here to Wofford except for sunburn and getting to interact with fans? It's probably your first few times you're able to do that.
Yeah, I think this is a really important time for the players. I mean, they wanted to be here. I think the growth and just being around guys every day in the dorms, kind of going through something, is really going to help them. And this is a very young team, so a lot of them aren't married or don't have kids. So this is a good time for the guys to really bond and come together. And I think this is a great environment at Wofford. They've been, great hosts so far since we've been here. It is a lot hotter here, but I'm pleased with Wofford so far.
Scott, Shaq talked a little bit about how the narrative maybe that this defense is really young, and that might take a little bit of expectations off of them. They're kind of like, hey, let's just go out there and have fun. Do you sense that a little bit when you look at this defensive roster?
I think young is good. When I was in Seattle, we had a really young defense early on. And you can be young and you can play fast on the defensive side of the ball and get away with it. Offense, you need a lot of timing, a lot of reps. Defense is one of the sides of the ball you can go young and get away with it. And so I think I think the growth that you're going to see through these joint practices, through our training camp, and then into the beginning of the season, you're going to see this defense really take off. We need guys like Shaq and really even Jeremy Chin, even though he's a second-year guy, that showed their leadership. I think adding Daquan Jones has been a nice add to that defensive line as far as a veteran presence. So, yeah, I think they're going to take off. It's just getting them to that point.
What benchmarks are you looking at for J.C. Horn to really look like he's coming into his own as a rookie?
I just think he needs to get out there and be comfortable and play. I don't know if there's necessarily a benchmark, but he's one of those just really competitive guys once he gets out there. You know, we saw it in the spring where he was able to shut guys down, and a lot of corners. So much is new to him, and there's so much asked of them. But he looked like he grasped it and was comfortable with where he's at.
Scott, how much was adding Hassan to maybe help free up Ryan on the other end?
Yeah, no, that's huge to have that pass rush from both sides, and then Derek Brown and Daquan, our interior guys on the inside. And then with what we're going to do defensively with Coach Snow,